This is Amy Chan from CakeDecoratingSchool.com, and if you like cake decorating, you're in the right place. Welcome to our flower series. In this video, we'll be piping beautiful Buttercream Columbine flowers. It's broken down into steps so you can skip ahead, rewind, and rewatch as desired. Now, let's make our colors. We're going to make 2 colors, plus we're going to use some white for these flowers. The first is going to be a nice kind of in-between pink-red shade, and then we're going to make a yellow. We're using all American-style buttercream, and as you can see, I don't need a lot of color for my red because we're just making a few petals with it. I'm going to use some red, some neon bright pink, and finally, a little lemon yellow, and these are all liquid gel colors. To start out, I'm going to make this nice kind of in-between, I'll call it maybe like a berry or kind of lipstick pink color. I'm just going to start out with 2 drops of my red and 2 of my neon bright pink. If my neon bright pink will behave. There it goes. 1 and 2. And we're going to give this a mix around and check it out. We want to make a nice kind of intense color that feels red but also has a healthy dose of that kind of bright pink in it. Oh, and I think that's going to be perfect. It's a lovely intense shade of pink that's not quite red, and it's going to be perfect for those nice pointy petals on our Columbine flowers. Next, we're going to make just a little bit of yellow for our centers. So I've got a tiny touch of buttercream down there, and I'm just going to give it 1 nice healthy drop of that lemon yellow, just to make a nice bright color. It'll add a little cheery pop to the centers. And since I don't have much buttercream, I really don't need much color to make a nice intense shade. And you can see it gives me that nice kind of cheerful citrusy lemon yellow vibe. For this flower, we're going to use 3 12-inch disposable decorating bags. You can see they're all fitted directly with the tips because we're not going to be changing tips. And I've striped one of them. For a yellow, we're using a small round tip. In this case, a number 2. If you don't have one, try a 1 or a 3. For a striped bag, we're using a 104, so just that nice regular petal tip with that straight teardrop shaped opening. We've striped the bag with both that lovely, kind of beautiful bright pink/red color we made and some white. You'll notice that the red lines up with the bottom of the opening, so that fat end, and the white takes up most of the space and lines up with the top or the skinny end. If you're looking for more details on striping bags, you can check out the bags and tips section of our Petunia video, which has a nice little tutorial on striping bags. And finally, for our bag of red, we have it fitted with a number 352. This one is a nice V-shaped opening leaf tip. Let's review the techniques we're going to use to create our Columbine flowers. The first one are essentially long leaves, but in this case, they're going to be red and they're going to make petals for our flowers. This 352 tip is just a great one to make that shape because they have a nice long tapered shape with a point on the end. So we're going to start touching the surface with one of those points. The other one is going to be facing directly up, bags at 45 degrees, and we're just going to point the back end wherever we're pulling. So we're going to follow the back of the bag, right? So just a nice comfortable position. Typically for me, it's off towards 3 o'clock, but it could really be any way you want. We're just gonna squeeze, let that frosting connect, and as soon as it does, just start moving. And when we get to the end, we're just gonna pull a little bit quicker. And that'll give us a nice little tapered point. So you can see that gives us a nice, long, skinny petal that has a nice point at the end, and it's going to be perfect for those colored petals on our Columbine flowers. Now we're going to pipe some cupped teardrop shaped petals with our 104. So rather than having that opening kind of laying along the surface with just the tip rocked up at the end like we would normally do for a teardrop petal, we're going to pull the bag so that the back of the bag is facing towards our right shoulder because I'm right-handed. If you're lefty, just go to the left. And the skinny end is going to be pointing up. And this is going to allow us to draw essentially a cupped petal. So when we're on our nail, we're going to start with that fat end anchored, and we're going to push out and then pull back. And you can see that gives our petal height and dimension. And it makes a nice kind of cupped feeling to it versus the ones we do normally that have a flat effect to them. And you can see I've just started to get that nice little hint of pink from the striping, and that's going to be the perfect little detail there in the middle because you often have some of that color showing through from those bottom petals onto the top ones. So it's a nice little effect for us. If your red isn't coming through yet, just squeeze a little more until it does. Sometimes when you have a balance where we've got a lot more white than we do red, it'll come through mostly white to begin with, and you've just got to squeeze for a little bit just to make sure that that red is coming out. So if it's not coming out yet, squeeze it a little more, adjust your tip if you need to before you get started on your actual flower nail. For the stamens on this one, we're going to use our 2-tip. We're going to hold it straight up and down, just like any dot or line we do, a little off the surface to let that frosting connect. And then we're going to squeeze while we pull up. And that should give us a nice long little stamen. And if we do them close together, we should get some nice height out of them. And it's totally okay if they flop over a little bit. You can always reposition and put some more next to it for support. But we want them nice, long, and frilly in the middle. So make sure when you're pulling, you're still squeezing and you don't pull away too fast. That'll give you some nice, long, little kind of filamentous looking stamens in the middle and that nice bright pop of yellow color in our flower. We've gone over the techniques we're going to use. Now let's talk about how we're going to put them together to make these beautiful Columbine flowers. We're going to start out with our bag of that beautiful bright red that we made, and we're going to pipe 5 petals with that 352 tip. So think about it a bit like head, arms, and legs. So you want to make that kind of like 5 equally spaced petals. And we want to make them nice and long because we want them to stick out. And the one thing we do want to make sure we do is we're kind of connecting everything in the center. We want our flowers to be nice and secure so they're easy to lift later. Then we're going to change to our number 104. And we're going to make those cupped petals. So we'll start right in the middle and we'll start offset. So each of those cupped petals is going to go in between 2 of our long pointy ones. So just start in between and do a little cupped petal in between each one of those, and they should kind of stand up a little bit and give the flowers some height and depth. And we should get a little ghosting of that red in the middle too for a nice effect. Once you've got those on there with your 104 tip, we're going to switch to our bag with 2 in our yellow and just kind of go crazy with the stamens in the middle. These are actually really long. A lot of times the flowers will flop over. In nature, we're going to, of course, doing them as if we're looking down on them, just because that would be too difficult. But they're really long and they hang and they kind of dangle. So getting some nice long frilly stamens in there is going to really help complete the look and make a beautiful effect for these Columbine flowers. Now that we've reviewed all of our techniques and how we're going to put them together, let's start piping on our nail. I've got my 2-inch flower nail. I want these flowers to be big, but not too big. The 3-inch would just be too jumbo, so let's use the 2. I have it paired with my 5-segment template, so that's just to help me mark and kind of get some nice equal spacing on these bottom petals. Will set us up for success with the top ones. And I want to make sure I've got my bag lined up. So I'm just going to point one of those lines off to the side, line the point of my 352 up right there with the center. Make sure the top point is pointing straight up. Bag's at 45 degrees, squeeze and pull a nice long pointy petal. And there we go. And then I'm just going to rotate my nail and do another one. So we'll get 5 going on here. Gorgeous. And they don't all have to be exactly the same, just kind of roughly. And you can see that template, using that gives us nice equal spacing because it's basically like coloring in the lines. It's just kind of following along. If you don't have these, you can always mark the bottom of your parchment with a Sharpie and then flip it over. Now we're going to switch bags and we're going to do our cupped petals. So I've got my 104 tip that I have striped with my 2 colors. I'm going to set it up 45 degrees. Back of the bag is at 430, and I'm just going to pipe those cupped petals. And I want to start in between 2 of my little flat skinny ones. So just go right there, pipe a cupped petal, and then next to it and in between. So just push it back and then pull it towards you. Gorgeous. And for our final step, we're just going to add some stamens. So you can see you have a nice little kind of well down there in the center where all those petals meet. We're just going to go in there and pull nice, long, yellow stamens. And we've chosen red today for our Columbine flowers, but they come in a variety of fun colors in nature. So in blues, purples, reds, also in oranges and yellows. So you can really do a lot of fun color schemes with these flowers, but you can see we have a beautiful flower with a nice side profile that's wonderful and just a little bit different than some of the usual ones you might find on your cakes. If you enjoyed this video, we hope you check out some of our others. If you're looking for some more big, bold, impactful flowers, maybe try our dahlia or our peony tutorials. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like more about the cake decorating materials and equipment we use, or just some inspirational videos about cake decorating itself, you can follow us on Insta or YouTube at Cake Decorating School. If you'd like to know more about yearly membership and what it entails, you can go to www.cakedecorating.school.com for more information. And if you're interested in these products, you can check the links in the description.